anybody want to go in that? No,
Right
Walter,
before she
stop.
has Chris.
You're so dumb. I
Freaking
hate
out,
you.
man. Freaking out, man.
Hi, baby.
All right, on our way to go meet baby brother. You ready? Let's go. What's up, buddy? Who's that? Is that Mama? Is that your baby brother? Is that your baby brother? Give him a kiss, Papa. Give him a kiss. Give him a kiss. Give him a kiss. Give him a little kiss. Aw, thank you. Just like.
You little cutie. I'm gonna kiss you. I'm gonna kiss you. Who's so cute? Hi. Who's so cute? Look and hold their head up so good. Not even 2 months old yet. Look at you. Look at you go. everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I am finally back after about 2 months of not uploading any videos. Of course, I was having my baby. I actually had him on July 1st, 2019. We named him Christopher Duke, and he's right here. He's actually getting ready to knock out for his afternoon nap, thank God. But yeah, we had him on July 1st, 2019, and he came out at about 12:14 p.m. and he weighed 7 pounds 5 ounces, and he was 19 and a half inches long. So I wanted to do this video a little sooner, obviously, not 2 months later, but I actually wound up moving. So an apartment came up at my same complex, and it was a 1-bedroom. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I was living in a studio before. So we came up on this opportunity, and of course we took it. And we've just been moving since pretty much it became available on August 1st. And we started moving in about a week later. So it's been about 2 weeks since we've been moving, and it's just been super crazy here in this house, trying to move with a wild 1.5-year-old boy, and then of course a newborn, about a month-old boy. It's just been so crazy, but I finally got a chance now to make a video and give you all an update. So I did want to talk a little about a repeat C-section. I know when I was looking for videos on here, I couldn't find too many that were talking about repeat C-sections and their experience, so I wanted to talk about that here. So it was planned. We planned it for July 1st, obviously, and everything actually went really, really smooth, and it was a lot easier. The recovery was a lot easier and faster than my first C-section. So my first C-section was actually an emergency, so it wasn't expected, and of course that was scary and crazy and hard on me and my husband as well. This time around, since it was planned, I knew what to expect, so I think that's what made it a lot more easier for me. So the day of, we went in around, I think it was 10 a.m. We had to be there 2 hours beforehand to fill out all the paperwork, and the nurses get all your blood work, and they monitor my heart rate and the baby's heart rate. And then they had, I can't remember what they call them. I think it's anesthesiologist. I'm pretty sure. The person that comes in to give you the spinal shot or the epidural. This time around, they gave me the spinal. So they have him come in, and he basically briefs me through the whole process of what's going to happen with the shot, how it should feel, how I might feel afterwards. And that was nice because I didn't get briefed on it at all during my first C-section, I guess, or birthing experience. So that was nice that I was able to get that little briefing on what to expect. So right before 12 noon, because we were scheduled for the C-section at 12 noon, so about 10 minutes before that, they started prepping me to take me into the surgery room. And once I got there, the anesthesiologist was pretty quick. He gave my shot within about 5, max 10 minutes that we were in there. At the same time, my doctor had came in, and he's super sweet and super nice, and he did my first C-section as well, so I was really comfortable with him. He came in, greeted us, and started prepping himself as well. And literally, my baby Christopher was born at 12:14, so within 5-10 minutes for him as well, the C-section was done, which was super awesome. And he's actually known for being very quick and efficient, and he's a preferred surgeon in my area, so I felt really lucky. So as for this shot, the spinal, I actually prefer this shot over the epidural. With the epidural, I felt the burning sensation that people talk about a lot. It's one of the most common side effects when you're getting the shot, during the process of them giving you the shot in your back. And I felt that when I was having Walter, and they gave me the epidural, I felt that sensation, and I hated it. So I wasn't looking forward to that at all, and I was actually kind of nervous about it So when I got the spinal, I was so surprised that I didn't feel literally anything except a little poke, and it was just the same like feeling that you'd get with any other shot. So I felt very thankful for that. And just in case anybody doesn't know, with the epidural or the spinal, you normally get a shot right before that, which is like supposed to be a numbing shot. But yeah, you still feel the poke, because even with my epidural shot, I still felt the poke, and then I felt the burning. I don't really know what other pain you might feel while you need that numbing shot, but this time around, I just felt the little poke from the spinal, and then there was no burning sensation or anything. It was actually just really smooth and nice. And then with the C-section, oh, by the way, also the anesthesiologist that came in when he was briefing me about what to expect, he also briefed me on the entire C-section process, which they didn't get to do with my first one because, of course, it was an emergency, so there was no time for briefing anybody. So while he was briefing me about what to expect for the C-section part of everything, he was telling me that, you know, your main doctor is, he makes the incision at the bottom of your tummy, and then he's pulling the baby out from that end by the head, but there is also a helper, usually another doctor, and they are pushing the baby from the top of your stomach, so right under your breast area. And I did not know that they even did that during the first one. Of course, during my first C-section, I was way more out of it than this one, and I was also fainting, so that probably had something to do with it as well. But I had no memory of like feeling anybody push on me, so I was like, oh, whatever. I didn't feel that the first time, so I probably won't feel it this time. But no, yeah, I felt it this time. So it wasn't like any sort of a bad feeling, or like I didn't feel like I was getting hurt or anything. Oh, sorry, the little baby's crying. So it didn't hurt or anything, but I just felt it, and when I felt it, I think if anything, it felt weird to me, just because like he briefed me on it, and I didn't feel that the first time, and it is, I guess, just sort of like a little weird feeling, but it didn't hurt. You literally just feel a little bit of pressure. I don't even know how to explain it, but I guess it just feels like somebody's shoving you, I guess, kind of, but they're shoving you right below your chest area. But yeah, the baby came out so quick. Everything happened so quickly. So, you know, for me, I definitely had a great experience this time around. So after that, of course, my husband went and he was with the baby. Of course, they put the baby next to me. I took my picture, and then my husband went with the nurses to the recovery room to wait for me while they finished sewing me back up. And they actually use staples. My doctor prefers to use staples. He just has had better experiences, I guess, with the recovery process using staples rather than the actual, I'm so sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Stitches, there you go. So once that was all done, he took me over to the recovery room. It was about maybe 45 minutes after the procedure that I was able to finally hold little Christopher, and one of the main things that we wanted to do was get him to latch on to breastfeed right away, as soon as we could. And so my husband handed him to me, laid him on my chest, and literally he just latched on so fast. So I was super, like, you know, of course, thankful for that. With my first little Walter, you know, I wasn't expecting the C-section at all. We were trying to do everything all natural, which of course you shouldn't ever plan for anything because it's always going to go completely different. But with him, when I came out of the surgery room and I was in the recovery room, I was still so like out of it, like woozy, and I just remember thinking like, oh my god, I hope he latches on. Like me and my husband literally were sitting there like, oh man, do you think he's even gonna latch? And the nurse at that time was very sweet, and she was like, we'll get him, we'll try to get him to latch right now. And he actually latched on really quick too. So there's definitely nothing different, at least for the babies latching on, whether it's after a C-section or a normal delivery, because both of mine latched on rather quickly right after. So it's super awesome. So once we were back in the maternity room, once the whole recovery process is over, the next thing, of course, I guess most people are worried about is the pain and the recovery after all of that. And everything just went super smooth. I was still taking the ibuprofen. They did give me morphine right after the surgery. After that, they only gave me the morphine once, and after that, it was just different levels of ibuprofen depending on my pain tolerance or pain levels. But yeah, it really was not painful at all for the most part. The most uncomfortable part was when the nurses had to check my uterus to make sure that it was shrinking. And that's because they have to like press right near your incisions. So of course that was like super uncomfortable. I hated that part. And then the next part that I was worried about was walking. So for me, I get a lot of I had a lot of anxiety about or thinking about the walking process after the surgery, like the first time you're walking again. During my first C-section, I was also super nervous about that, and it took me longer to walk the way I normally walk and like feel okay to be walking around, you know. It took me a little longer during the first C-section or after the first C-section. But this time around, I got up and I knew like, okay, Chris, like your stomach isn't gonna fall out of your butt. You can get up and walk. Don't worry. Like I had to kind of like pep talk myself, and I actually started walking pretty fast, and I got, you know, comfortable walking around a lot right after the first couple steps or whatever. So that went pretty easy as well. However, as far as like feeling completely normal again walking around, it probably took me about just a little under a week. Must have been about 5 or 6 days after the C-section that I felt completely normal walking around. As far as getting myself up, like out of bed, it was probably just about the same, because it definitely hurts, like, you know, pulling yourself up right after the C-section. And for me, it was probably, I'd say, about 3 weeks after the C-section that I felt a lot more comfortable getting up and getting out of bed on my own and everything. So yeah, for the most part, I had a really positive experience this time around. I definitely preferred that. Just, I guess now, just knowing what to expect makes it all a lot more easier. So that's pretty much all for this video. I wanted to make sure that I came on, gave my update, show you guys the kids. He's completely knocked out now. That's Christopher, and then I'll show you guys Walter. Walter, look. Hey. Hi. Hi, Papa. But yeah, and then I also want to, of course, upload all the other little clips of whatever I've been recording over the last 2 months, so I can remember it. But if you guys have any questions or further comments or anything, feel free to leave them below. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please make sure to subscribe and like this video as well. And I'll talk to you guys again, hopefully within the next week. All right, thank you guys for watching. Bye.